everyone, my name is Ashley Young and welcome to Ashley's High Tech Hand Reviews. So if you don't know me, I was born missing the lower half of my right arm and I have the amazing privilege to use bionic hands or myoelectric hands, and I thought this series would be really useful for people because there's so many hands out on the market, and sometimes it's hard to make a decision on what hand is going to suit you the best and what hand you might like to use and have as your handy little partner for a while. So if I can help anyone by doing this series, that is my goal. So on this review, I'm going to review them on functionality, aesthetics, which to me is quite important, and I'm going to give you my pros and cons list. So a little bit about myself. I have been using hands since 2016, and in this review here today, we are going to start off with the iLim Quantum. So the iLim Quantum is the first hand that I ever got. I got this hand in 2016 and it's been my baby ever since. It has stuck with me, and we've had our ups and downs over the years, but hopefully with my experience with this hand, I'll be able to give you an insight on what it's like to use it. Now first, I want to talk about the aesthetics. So if you take a look at the hand, it has the glove on currently, and I think that personally it's not a bad hand to look at. I think with the glove, it looks a bit like your hand with a glove on. For me personally, I love hands that are very high-tech looking. They look like they are straight out of Terminator, because for me, I have one hand. I'm not trying to hide that. So I just feel like when we were in 2016, the coolest thing for iLim users to do is to actually use and wear the hand without the glove. And I remember we used to all get in trouble by OSER because you're supposed to have the glove on. The glove on is what protects the precious insides of the hand to help it function correctly. And I think we were just taking pictures and videos with the glove off because obviously it looks super, super cool in there. But let's be honest, with the titanium fingers, you can't grip anything, you can't hold anything. But it does look very Terminator-like, which I love when the glove is off. But you have this option, you have a skin color option that you could get, and there's also the different covers for it, which I think I have. And you have the clear option as well. I personally don't like the clear option because, I don't know, it just looks a bit ominous, and I feel like you can't quite see inside. But that's just, I think, not my favorite is the gloves on these. But otherwise, underneath the gloves, they look very cool. Another thing that I really like about the iLim Quantum, this is the extra small. So the reason why I got an extra small so many years ago was because this was the first hand that I had ever used. And because I'm so tiny, below my elbow, I needed something that was light in weight and that was going to help me learn how to use the arm without stressing out my right shoulder. So yeah, this was the this is the perfect choice for my first hand. So some specs to be aware of. The iLim Quantum by OSER is a multi-articulating myoelectric hand. It's got 5 independently powered digits. It's got titanium strengthened digits, it's got rechargeable battery, and 0.8 second open to close time. It comes in 4 different sizes: extra small, small, medium, and large. The weight ranges between 470 grams in the extra small and 630 grams in the large. You can rotate the thumb manually, and again, you can use the apps to help control the grips. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on, and it's already holding on. Let go. All right, and we're on. So what do we mean when we say gesture control? So gesture control is how you change the grips, and this is what you're meant to do. You're meant to hold the hand in parallel, hold your open signal, wait for the index finger to give a little wiggle, and you can change it into a grip. Now you can change these grips using your phone and the app, and you can program it to be whatever you'd like. These are essentially my most used grips. One of my favorite things about the eye limb is the way that the thumb can just be put into any sort of position. I think that is really helpful because there's not two fixed positions here on the thumb. You can literally put it anywhere you want and it will close where you want it to close. And for me, I find that I can experiment with grips better if I can move the thumb into my desired place. And so I would say that is probably my favorite thing about the eye limb. Now onto the cons for the eye limb. For me personally, I don't think that the hand opens up far enough. This is about as wide as it can open. So if you think about that, and you think about some of the various options of things that you can pick up, you wouldn't be able to pick up a Stanley Cup from the base, if you know what I mean. It's not very wide, and I don't know if that's just the functionality of the extra small hand, and it might be, because I've only ever used the extra small hand, but I find that the hand and the thumb, they just don't open wide enough for some of the things that I want to do. For example, like a mug to drink a coffee, or it's kind of meant to hold on to smaller items, like a mug handle instead. A great thing that I love about the eye limb is that the switch is in the palm. To turn the eye limb on and off. Now, some people might think this is good and some people might think this is bad. I personally think it's a really accessible feature. The switch is really easy to switch back and forth. So for me personally, I just feel like that's what works out the best. But I will say, one time I went to shake someone's hand, and when I went to shake their hand, they accidentally turned the switch off and my hand was stuck to them. And it was really awkward. It was funny, but it was awkward, and I did start sweating, I can't lie. So it was a bit of a weird situation there. Another con for the hand, I would say, because the rest of the hand is made of plastic, the first time that I had this hand, it was probably like 2 weeks after. I had put my arm in a locker at Universal Studios, and it fell out of the locker when I opened the locker back up, and the hand fell out onto the ground and completely shattered. So that is a con. I had to go get it fixed. It was only literally like maybe a week or two after I had received the hand. So, and I felt really stressed and I felt really bad because it was my first hand and it felt like my hand was actually being shattered. So it was a pretty intense scenario. Now, just sitting down and talking about the hand is great, but everyone is always asking, okay, Ashley, well, what do you actually use the hand for? So I am here to show you, to give you some practicalities. And here's something. I just used the hand to adjust the tripod on the camera, to pick up the light and move it over so I could hold the battery in this hand. So it does get used when it's on me. Trust me, I am using it. So here we have my lovely kitchen. I love it very much. It's great. And the one thing that we use to help test the hands and basically give people skills to help them around the house and use the hand is things like cooking. So for example, how I would use the hand to cook, I would hold it just like this and use this hand, just had eggs in here, sorry, to hold the pan steady and hold it like that. Now, one of my favorite things about this hand is the reaction time. It is very fast. And you can also change this in your app settings as well. Sorry, in your hand settings on the app. But the reaction time, surprisingly, is quite fast. And I love that because obviously you kind of don't want to think when you're using the hand. You want to make sure that you're using it intuitively. It's not ever going to replace this hand. I just want to say that first and foremost. But what it can do is it can be used as a tool to help you do things in life. Sorry, I got very passionate about that. But I think that is something that you need to keep in mind when using a hand. Let's see what else we can do. So for example, it can be used to, let's say, I'll use this cup. Hold a cup nice and steady. So what I would personally do with this is I would put this through the fingers. No, I wouldn't do that. So what I would personally do, I would put the thumb through no, why wouldn't I do that? So what I would personally do with this is I would put the 3 fingers in, close it, and there I have my grip, okay? And then from there, I would turn the hand off to use it. And I would use it and pour just like that. Voila. Now, if I wanted to drink this, I would turn the hand on, take it off like that, and drink it like so. Okay, so we know the hand is functional. We know the hand is great. Now, I think one of my most asked questions is, can the hand crush an egg? So we're gonna test that theory right now. These are my eggs. I've only got like potentially one egg left. I don't know, let me see. I've got 2 eggs left. You're in luck. Okay, so if I were to hypothetically try and crack this egg with this hand, I would need to move the thumb in the optimal position. Okay, and we're gonna go with the weakest part of the egg, which is here. It's not gonna break it. So the cool thing about the eye limb that I love so much is that it actually has pressure sensors. So it's not gonna move the fingers anywhere past the pressure, right? So you can just hold it down, and it's very gentle. It's very gentle. This is the type of hand that you can greet your grandmother with, let's just say that. So no, this one does not crush an egg. That is perfectly okay. We still love the eye limb for who she is. And I get to save my eggs for another day. Maybe breakfast tomorrow, I don't know. Now, another question I get asked a lot is, how much weight does this hand hold? And I think that's a great question. We should all be asking the hard-hitting questions like this. So we're gonna do a little weight test here. So we've got 3.3 pounds on this side, 3.3 pounds on this side. Now, this isn't a question of how much weight can it hold, it's a question of how much weight can I hold? So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna lock the hand because I don't want the neighbors complaining. But there we go. So you've got probably around, I would say around 10 pounds here. And it feels like it could probably do more, but I don't want to be doing that. I'm not here to break my precious hand, all right? But I do think we should go up in size. What do you think we should go up in size? So that was that. This is, I would say this is about 15 pounds. So sorry, Oser, if you're watching. I promise I'm not trying to break the hand on purpose. And I just say that it's not gonna break. All right, so that's 15 pounds. And I left my hand on for that one. So it can pick it up, but now the pinky isn't letting go. So I'm scared. Did I just damage the pinky on this thing? Nope, we're good, we're good. So it can hold its own in weight. So overall, this is one of my all-time favorite hands. Although it does have some pros, it does have some cons. I think every single hand has its own pros and cons. I think we're gonna go with an overall function scale. I think functionality-wise, this for me is like a 9 out of 10. It is nearly perfect. In my personal opinion, I don't want to say that to be biased. I know I've had this hand for ages, but I love the eye limb so much. I would say for aesthetics, I'm gonna give it probably a 6 out of 10. I don't know, I just, even like my trousers, right? If I have it here, it just blends right in. So for me, I personally would love a hand that stands out a little bit more. That's my opinion. So I'm gonna go with this 6 out of 10. And what was another thing? But I think overall, the eye limb quantum for me is a solid 8.5 out of 10. Let's have everyone give the eye limb a round of applause. Thank you, thank you. So tune in next time. We will be testing a different hand. Tell me what you think about the hand and if you've used it before. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.